welcome back to another episode of Storytale Cakes. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Deadpool cake. So everything is completely out of cake, the head and also the bottom part. I'm super excited to show you how to make this, so let's get started. So for the cake structure, you need a 1/2 centimeter thick wooden board, and at the back what I've done is I've stuck on little wooden pieces to elevate the board up. The reason for this is we've got a galvanized rod. You can find this at your local hardware store. I found mine's at Bunnings Australia, but you know, any store should be fine in your area as long as it's a hardware store. Also, I have a nut here and a washer. The washer just prevents the board from cracking and the nut just holds the galvanized rod into place. Turn it around, I want to show you the back of it. What I've done is I've just drilled a hole in the center of the cake board, and I've also got a washer here to prevent the board from cracking, a nut here to just stop the galvanized rod from moving as well. So this is what you'll need to ensure your cake doesn't move around. You don't have to do a galvanized rod. I just prefer doing a galvanized rod. I find it super strong. You can use a wooden stick as well, but just make sure that it's really secure in place. For the galvanized rod, it measures about 34 centimeters, but we have to take into account the bottom part as well. So in total, the height for the galvanized rod is about 35 centimeters. When you go to the hardware store, most likely you're not going to get one that's 35 centimeters. So what you'll have to do is ask the hardware store to cut it for you, just because it's metal and it's not going to work just cutting it through a saw. Also, because this is not food safe, putting this directly into the cake, it might run the risk of little pieces going into the cake, like the little metal pieces. So what I like to do is take 2 bubble tea straws. If it's not long enough, I just connect them together by squeezing one end, just like this. Ta-da. And then I just pop it through here. There we have food safety. I'm now going to just snip off the excess. Just get a little bit of fondant to cover the top. We're going to start off doing the first stage of the cake, which is the body, and what you'll need for that is 4 cakes that measure 30 centimeters in length by 21 centimeters in width. Now you need to make sure that you use a sturdy cake like a mud cake, because if you use a sponge cake it will be too soft to carve for this. To fill the cakes, we're going to add a nice layer of buttercream in. I have the recipe for the buttercream, so I'll put it in the link in the description box below, as well as the chocolate cake. To start shaping the shoulders, just simply cut both sides of the cake on a slight angle. Trim 2 straws about 17 centimeters and add it into the cake as a reference for the body size. And then you want to trim both sides so it's about 16 centimeters for the width of the body. Now round off the body and add the excess cake on top till it covers the straws. You then want to just use your knife to go around the entire cake to round off any squarey edges, especially around the corners of the arms and just the top part of the chest as well. Don't forget to give Deadpool some arms, so just trim a little bit of cake on the inside for both sides to kind of like accentuate the arms out, and then slightly carve it on a little bit of an angle to give more of an arm shape. Pick the side that you want to be the chest and just carve it a little bit on the bottom to accentuate the chest out a bit. You want to create a support for the neck, so what you need to do is add 3 bubble tea straws cut down to 21 centimeters each, and now just place a 4-inch cake board on top with the center drilled. And remember the cake excess we had before from cutting, we're now going to turn it into a cake pop mixture by mixing with a bit of buttercream or ganache. I'll put the recipe in the description box below. Basically all we're doing is building up the neck and shoulders with that mixture. So far what we've done is we've built the structure of the cake, the bottom half to the neck. What I've done here is I've also added in a 4-inch cake board with bubble tea straws to elevate and hold up the head, because if we don't put these 4 bubble tea straws, when we put the head, it's just gonna crash the neck. The second stage is going to be Deadpool's head. What we'll be needing are 3 6-inch cakes, fill up with some delicious buttercream and carve it into a shape like this. So I've got here a dummy. If you don't want to use cake, you can just cut this off and put it on the cake, but we're going to do it completely out of cake. So this is just going to be a reference. When you cut the head, you want it to kind of look like an oval that's pointing outwards. I also have a picture of Deadpool here as a reference. If you have a look at Deadpool's nose, it just pokes out, and the mouth part, there's no need for any details there because the mask covers it as well. Once you're done carving, just cover the cake with chocolate ganache, and I'll put the recipe in the description box below. So I want to show you how it looks so far. You should have like kind of like a straight look like this. I've got a picture here. It's always good to have a picture as a reference. It'll just help guide you as well. And if you have a look at the side, this is heavy. It's kind of like straight here as well. But what we're going to do is after it sets for 2 to 6 hours, it depends on the humidity of your area. You then want to add some fondant pieces on it just to build up the nose and also the shoulders and chin. Get a bit of brown fondant and roll it into a teardrop shape for the nose. Now then just take a fondant piece and roll out both ends of it, keeping the middle part thick so you can use it for the chin. And just take like 2 fondant smoothers to help define the chin. I'm using like a clay tool, but really you can use a knife as well just to help attach the chocolate to the fondant. I decided to buff up our Deadpool by adding a bit of fondant to his shoulders, but you can also use cake pop mixture. Now that we have our fondant pieces in place, it's time to mark the details onto the cake so we know where to put the outfit. Because if you have a look at Deadpool's costume, some parts of it are black and some parts of it are red, and it gets really hard if you're just going to do it freehandly, so if you mark it in advance, it will be a lot easier. Our outfit goes from about here to here. I'll just quickly fold it, so that's how it's going to look. Over here, we're going to have like a red piece from here to here on these areas. This part here is going to be red, that part here is going to be black. The back view, but it's only going to go up to about here. Got here a hexagon, and that hexagon's going to be here in place for the back sword part, kind of like mark it. So that from here to here is going to be red. If you look at that if you have a look at that diagonal, and the red part connects, and then it's going to be another red piece right here as well. Okay. And now it's time for our Deadpool to start coming to life. I'm going to add in some red fondant to cover the head. I find it easiest if you cover the head first and then gradually build up the other pieces. If you find it difficult covering a lot at once, you can always do like small parts at a time, but just remember to quickly smooth it before it dries out and it's hard to connect the seams together. Great thing about marking it before is we can just flip the fondant and have an idea where we need to cut it down to. Here's a really cool tip for you guys. You can use a little bit of Crisco, which is pretty much like a vegetable fat that helps combine the seams together nicely. You can also use water, but I find that with water you can kind of see the marks. And just get a horizontal template to kind of help guide where you need to cut out for the black pieces to be inserted to. So now we're going to do the strap, which goes all the way down to the back, and we're also going to do these details here. What I've done is I've just taken a cardboard piece of paper and I've cut it to the shape of the eyes. If you have a look here, just make sure the shortest line is on top. And you only need to cut out one, because when you cut out one, you can always flip it around to create the other side. After you get like this sharp sort of a look, you want to just round off the edges as well. If you have a look here, you can see that the eyes are quite concave, so that's what we're going to do right now. Just going to mark with a bit of water where I'm going to add the black fondant pieces. Now with our trusty stitching tool, we're going to add details all over Deadpool's body. Alright, so the next step to make our stitches stand out a little bit more, I'm going to add some food gel with some water. So just a little bit of food gel goes a long way. That's a little bit, oh, that's literally all you need. So you want it to be really diluted. Check that out, that's already so dark. To finish off Deadpool's look, we need to add his signature katanas. Okay, these are like skewers, but we're going to convert them into katanas. You want to mark the skewers to about 23 centimeters and cut off the excess. Once this is done, just cover the skewer in a thick layer of fondant, and with the knife, just indent details onto them. I've tried many ways to hold up the sword, but I find the sturdiest way is to actually just pierce it through Deadpool and then just add a black fondant piece to cover the piercing and the grey part for the knife. Once this is done, just use a bit of edible luster dust to paint over it. You can also paint the buckle on top. So the final step to give your cake that overall nice shiny look, because some areas might be a bit, I guess, shiny compared to others, is to use a steamer to steam your entire cake. You don't have to do this, but if you want the shiny look, I recommend using a steamer. As always, thanks for watching, guys. This is definitely one of my favorite cakes I've made to date, and also one of the most challenging cakes. But I hope you guys learned, like, you know, the structural components and everything. I really wanted to put that up on my channel so you guys can learn something new. And if you do happen to make it, please hashtag storytalecakes on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to check it out. And please remember to subscribe for more tutorials. I'll see you soon.